Personal and Professional Development Thursday. And today we've got Terry Brock with us. And we just close out some of these bad boys on the side here. And we are going to talk about entrepreneurial thinking. And remember, you are the CEO of your business. Welcome to the HPLS podcast. Live, relevant, and high performance information, conversations, and education weekly. Here we go again. Lisa crushed it by Jeff by 1 second again.
Hey,
way to go, Lisa. Good morning. Good morning, Jeff.
On my side, it's a tie.
On your side, it's a tie.
Yeah, my side, it shows them both at 9:01:21.
Oh, see, I got Lisa at 9:20 and Jeff at 9:21. I've got Alex at 36. I've got Antoine at 39. I've got Richard at 40. I've got Ryan at 43.
Let's
Look
go.
at how y'all popping in this morning. Way to go, everybody. Welcome. I have to start, Terry, before we get into this. I just want to share. So back in 2008 and 9, when I had a company that completely collapsed, I had a conversation with Bernie Dorman, who through the conversation, he started talking about the little conversations we have in our head. And those little conversations and how important they are, because they are actually one of the biggest factors in holding us back from our dreams, our desires, our aspirations. Out of that conversation spawned a website that was called Little Conversations Today. And it was my first real introduction into the world of personal development. And the gentleman we have today, Terry Brock, was one of my most favorite interviews because the energy, the excitement, and just everything that Terry is about, I think y'all are going to love. And when I reached out to Terry a couple of weeks ago saying, you know what, I got this new show, it was like, dude, I am all over this. I'm so in. And we're talking, over a decade that we've actually had the opportunity to speak with each other. Because I think, Terry, I interviewed you probably in 2010 or 2011. And a lot's happened since then. I mean, obviously in every world.
A whole new world now.
Yeah. But the idea of entrepreneurial thinking is so critical in our world, right? As a salesperson, as a professional salesperson, DJ and I often say, you are the CEO of your own business. And sure, you might fly a corporate flag. But when it comes to your sales, when it comes to managing the expectations of your customers, when it comes to delivering what your customers want, you are the CEO, regardless of what name is on your paycheck. You are the one that controls that destiny, if you will. Thank you, Terry Brock. Thank you for being here.
Yes.
If you don't mind, give the audience a little bit of background on you, and then we'll launch into the conversation, my man.
And Terry, before you start there, if you just start with your agro entrepreneur or that explanation, I think that will explain to the audience exactly what you're about. But I loved he explained this off camera, guys, and when he said it was kind of his introduction to me, and I was like, whoa, okay, I love this guy already. So
it kind of sums everything up in 2 sentences.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, it's something we came up with. Gina Carr, my partner, and I, my fiance, and we said, what are we going to call it? So people that call themselves liberal, conservative, Republican, Democrat, or whatever it is. I don't identify with any of those, like most people today, as an entrepreneur. But I said, we're entrepreneurs, and I really like the agora lifestyle. If you look up agora, it's from a Greek word of open spaces and the idea of live and let live. You do whatever you want to do. Don't harm others. Don't take their stuff, and do what you want to do. So we came up with the word agorapreneurs to describe what we are, the idea of entrepreneurs who are living our lives freely, going out there for the maximum, the very best, do anything you want to do. And I mean that word literally, anything, as long as you take responsibility for what you're doing and you do not harm others. You don't initiate force or coercion. Don't hurt others. Don't take their stuff. Live peacefully, and everything being voluntary. I think that's the key. And I think we could solve so many of the problems in our world today if we just lived our lives that way. Live and let live. Let things be done voluntarily between adults and let them do what they want to do. And if somebody does something, I go, ooh, that's kind of goofy and weird. Well, here's the test. Are they harming you? No, I think it's goofy. Well, okay, but they can do goofy if they want, because what you're doing, Terry, is probably goofy to some others too. And that's all right. They'll just do that. And I think we would have a much better world if we use that prism as a rule for how to live our lives as entrepreneurs and being the people that we are.
That's awesome. I mean, that
Right?
can you get a better
Come on.
summary, DJ? You
Give a
can't.
shout out, guys, in the audience if you like that. Because, oh my god. So, what, agorapreneur?
Agorapreneur.
Agorapreneur, the word that we made up.
Agorapreneur.
You go over to
Okay.
Wikipedia and look
Well,
up
I'm
agorism.
an agorapreneur now.
You'll see what it's like. Agorism, it comes from the idea of freedom and liberty, doing what you want to do. And you just don't have coercion and someone else telling you, you must do this because I said so. Well, no, with all due respect, go do that somewhere else. We're going to do our own thing peacefully. That's the key. Peacefully, voluntarily.
Yes.
Richard says awesomeness. Yes, it is awesomeness for sure.
I agree with you, Richard. Awesomeness.
Yes, such a good word, I love that. I love that. So what a wicked way to start a Thursday morning, Terry. Thank you so much. That is a that way of life is a way that everyone should live. And in the end, it's going to help you get further than any other tactic in the world. I know a lot of people that are very successful, most of them alone. Most of them have very little people they can call friends. And most of them have stepped on people in order to get where they want to go. And I believe, it goes back to Bob Proctor, things Bob Proctor said. He was one of my first mentors in this industry. Also kind of goes back
Dan,
to a mutual dear friend of ours, Bob Berg, who talks
Can you hear me
as well.
Yeah, we can. I can hear you, Terry. Can you hear us?
I am not hearing you. Not hearing you.
Oh.
He lost sound.
Something just happened.
Golden rule.
Yes. I don't know what that could be.
DJ, you can hear me, right? Everyone else?
Yeah, I can hear you. So he's. You want me to go off camera?
Hit the gear icon, Terry.
Make sure things are working as they should.
Yeah, go to the gear icon and then just hit the audio.
Whatever reason.
See if you have to
can you hear me? Shake your head yes if you can hear me. Okay, you're hearing me. I am not hearing either of you.
Richard says he hears.
Check the gear icon, looking at audio. And
that word is great.
Audio here.
Great
Still
word.
got the MacBook Pro speakers. That's good. And there. I don't know. I'm going to try something else here. And
yeah,
see
he lost us.
There we are.
Yeah.
He lost the sound, but oh my goodness, yes. Yeah. Yeah, that should work.
It's funny, technology, eh? Isn't it just, this is one of the moments where we say, Terry, restart your computer. And I think it would work. But, we'll let Terry get to that part of it and we'll continue with the show. DJ, the that agropreneur, that meaning, and I think, as much as entrepreneurial thinking is super important, I think that it trumps entrepreneurial thinking by actually
we're
going
testing
out,
1 2 and I see the Yeti microphone here. It shows me that it's registering. That's good.
Still can't hear us? I don't think he says anything on his end now. Sound.
No.
No, I agree.
It must be the people that don't like agorapreneurs idea that silenced us.
No. They silenced you.
He just took the show off rails. Nerf, don't start.
Yeah, I'm kind of perplexed as to what's going on there. Speakers are working fine. Let me try something else here.
So DJ, did Nerf
got an idea? What if I sign out and then come right back in? Maybe we can do that. Sometimes that will work, and we'll try it. So I'm going to try that, and we'll see what happens.
Did Nerf make a comment there, DJ? Because I don't have Nerf's comment. Where did Nerf make a comment?
No. Nerf did. So this was before the show. He was getting prepped. We had a little pre-show conversation.
Oh, okay. So this agorapreneur. I mean, the idea. You remember Dean? He's always said, leave something on the table for the next guy.
Yes.
We talk about, can you really help the customer achieve the goal? right? That's going in with an open mindset of service, of value, of adding
Exactly.
to what the customer is going to do. Let's see what Terry, can you hear us now?
I can hear you now. You're coming in.
Beautiful.
And
Coming
by
in
the way, that's
loud and
just a good
strong, brother.
entrepreneurial example. When things don't work,
That's okay.
you don't give up. You just say, let's redo it, restart this thing, and let's get this thing going now.
It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't
That's
meant to
right.
be. It's
Yeah.
I remember the
Oh,
day I lost my manuscript for an entire book that I spent
Ooh,
9 months writing, and
ouch.
I lost it. It was just gone. And I remember taking my computer to Best Buy and going to the Geek Squad, and I'm like, "You got to find it. You got to find it." And I was just distraught. And then I kind of sat there one day and said, "Well, maybe it just wasn't a good version." It's a tough pill to swallow, but in the end, it was a better book. So it's true. So
to your point, to finish up though, Dan, I think
mhm,
the agorapreneur is the future of entrepreneurship. I think if we have more people following that, it follows what we've been talking about, which is collaboration is the future of business.
mhm.
If we can all just do that.
I think it's always been where successful businesses
Yeah,
arrive.
yeah,
However, I think the power trip or where they you guys have often heard money's the root of
ego.
all evil. It's not money; it's the desire to attain money, and it's that I'll screw everybody in my path, and whatever I got to do to get to my goal. It's that collaboration piece can actually help build you up faster because you're going to have people that lift you higher to get up to the mountain at a higher pace to get things done better. And
Absolutely.
I and here's the thing, right? Our industry specifically, Terry, one of the most cutthroat industries on the planet,
Oof.
right?
Yes.
1000%. And it's a
Yes.
shame because there's so much collaboration available. Like in my world, when I left the actual selling side of it, the amount of customers I've handed over to colleagues, to
Yeah.
asset carriers where I couldn't compete,
Yep.
and the amount of collaboration that brought amazing things into my life was crazy. But so many people are like, if I tell you and I see it because I go into companies and I say, okay, so you want me to help? Let's open up the books. I need to see things. Well, I can't show you my customer list. I'm like, well, why? Like, well, because what if you go say something? Okay, let's get NDAs and stuff. And it's like, well, I still can't show it to you. I'm like, okay, well, I can't work with you. Like, there has to be transparency. And in our market, especially after last year, is coming down to transparency is one of the biggest keys that shippers
Mhm.
are talking about. They're saying we got to have transparency. But um, going back to the topic, because I know
Yes.
we took a whole bunch of exits off that highway in the
We
last like
really did. We
12
really
minutes.
did.
It's crazy, but yeah. So explain or dig into entrepreneurial thinking, Terry, and how does it differ from just a salesperson thinking?
I think that they're very close. Being a salesperson and entrepreneur, there's a lot of similarities there. But
Mhm.
I think ultimately we all are entrepreneurs. I mean, think about roll it back 1,000 years ago. Everyone was an entrepreneur, really, or most everyone. You had to get out and do your own thing. A lot of people were in farming and agriculture. They did other things. They might have took care of the horses or so, but everyone was their own boss. And I think that's the way we've got to think that we are in charge. We own this and we're going to take ownership to get it done right. We are responsible. And as we do that, then we're able to achieve the kind of goals that we want. We're able to do what we want and all in collaboration with others. Dan, I agree with you heartily. I'm high fiving you from here in Orlando up there to Toronto, high fiving you and DJ to you there in Cleveland as well to say, hey, this is what we got to do. It's interesting because as human
Yeah.
beings, we think and live for ourselves. I mean, you're only breathing for yourself. You only sleep for yourself. The intrapersonal communication, that thoughts that go on in your head, are where we are. But we get ahead when we can help other people. When we can reach out and find out, okay, what is it that they're going through? What challenges are they facing? And how can we help them on that? I think a good example of that in a business sense would be Jeff Bezos and what he has talked about at Amazon. He says, what is it that people will always want? Technology keeps changing, but we know that 5 years, 10 years, 50 years from now, people are still going to want to get good quality products. They want them at a good price and they want them fast. So those things are going to always remain the same. And if we can think, what can I do to help my customers, those wonderful people who pay the bills? What can I do to help them get things in really good quality? And they will determine the quality make sure that they
Mhm.
say, yeah, this is good quality. Two, we make sure that it's coming them at a good price. I think people that are in business understand, hey, we got to have things. Sure, we all want it free. Everything I want should be free. Well, no, we don't work that way. It doesn't work that way. But we want a fair price. We realize, okay, we're taking care of you, and it's something that's going to help me. And then we're going to be able to get it very rapidly. I think we can all tell our stories of what's happened with the amazing stuff with Amazon. For me, just a couple of weeks ago, it was on a Sunday afternoon at like 2:30 in the afternoon. I needed something, and I thought, oh, I'll just get it, and it'll probably get here, 2 or 3 days from now with Amazon. So I typed it in, 2:30 on a Sunday afternoon. It arrived at 5 p.m. that day. And I think, on a Sunday, they deliver this thing. That's amazing. And they have thought it through. And that's what each of us has to do. Think through the logistics in your own business. What can I, and I love the logistics business. I mean, that is really the key. That makes everything work in our world, literally
Mhm.
everything. Getting this here to that, doing it in the right way. And with all the constraints that we've got today, it's a real challenge. But what can we do to make that a little bit better? What can we do to tweak it so that we get it there an hour earlier? What can we do to tweak that so that it saves just a little bit of cost? Hey, we can save 23 cents on each delivery. Hey, that adds up. So those little things like that is what we want to do. And I think that's really the entrepreneurial thinking. We're always thinking of how can we make it better for others? And by helping others, then we're able to achieve the goals that we want.
Mm.
Yes.
I love the fact that at the beginning of that, you said it's based on the customer's version of quality and
Yep.
of
Quality,
service.
exactly.
I mean, full transparency. I don't know how many years it took me to figure out that customer A and what was valued of them was actually not valued to customer B. And I mean, the amount of spiels I went on and went, oh yeah, well we did this, and it's funny because you see the eyes glaze over, and it's like, yeah, I know,
Yes.
right? But internally, you're like, man, I friggin' rocked that
Nailed
sales
it.
conversation. It
Yep.
was the worst thing ever. And then you start justifying it in your head. You're going, why aren't they a customer? I don't understand. Like, I rocked that sales presentation. Like, I was the man. And then you sit back and you go, not once did I ask them what value meant to them. Not once
Yeah.
did I ask them exactly what goals they're looking to achieve. It's like your verbal diarrhea all over
Mm,
them. And hey, DJ, you ever done that? And you leave the meeting and you're like, oh man,
Oh
I'm the
yeah.
man. Like, I just rocked that. It's
exactly. So, but people like
crazy.
that, I often say they have what I call eye trouble. Now, I don't mean EYE, I, but rather the letter I, but just kind of sit back. And those of you watching this also think about it when you're hearing someone, how often do they talk and use the word I or me? Well, I did this and I'm doing this and I did that. And when I went here, or people that will interrupt you and start talking about something that they did. You're saying,
Oh,
well, I went over to Los Angeles once, and oh yeah, I remember when I went to Los Angeles and I did da 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 da. They've got eye trouble. They're not thinking of the other person asking you, and they do more
yes.
statements than questions. Well, tell me about what
Mhm.
you did on that. Really, what is it you're dealing with here at ABC Company? What kind of challenges are you facing? What's the biggest challenge that you have here at ABC Company? What kind of logistics are you going through? And we want to help you to solve those problems. And as you can do that, thinking like an entrepreneur and as a person who is in sales, because we're all in sales, but we're entrepreneurs thinking of how can we serve others. The way we do that is by focusing on them, getting rid of the eye trouble stuff. Be careful.
Mm,
Just watch how many times, and sometimes you got to go back and watch your recordings. Go, ooh, look how
yes.
many times I said I. Ooh, oh, versus how many times did I sit down and go, well, what about you? What are you going through? What kind of issues are you dealing with? What are your biggest challenges right now? As you can do that, you're going to be able to open up doors for your customers, helping them solve problems and being there as a partner, as an advisor with them, someone who is not just trying to sell them a bunch of stuff. No, you're there to help them to solve these problems together. And you're working kind of as partners, not necessarily in the legal sense, but you're working as partners to help resolve the problems that they're going through. That will make sure that you succeed as an entrepreneur.
Yes.
Mm. You hit the nail on the head
Yes.
there, Terry.
Exactly.
Wayne Dyer once said, he said, the more questions you ask somebody about them, about what they do, he goes, the better conversationalist you'll be. And
Yep.
he says, have you ever sat down and asked somebody 4 or 5 questions about themselves? And he says, you know, a couple times he's been on a plane and the person sits down and asks him a question. He asks 4 or 5 questions, and like 2 hours later, the person's still talking. And at the end of the plane ride, the guy's like, wow, man, like this was the greatest conversation I ever had. You're such an awesome person. And Wayne says, I said like 6 words. But it's true, right? It's so true. Nerf, there's Nerf with comments. Perfect.
There he
Nerf
is.
says, one shipper showed me a bucket of business cards and asked me, how am I different than every other person in that
Ooh.
bucket? That is stellar.
Woo!
It caught me off guard, and the only thing I could say is I'm 6'6", and they're probably not. Luckily, they liked my honesty and let me in the door for some business. But again,
Good for
that's
you,
the
Nerf.
thing. You were different, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
Yes.
different in a way that benefits them.
Yeah.
Just saying, you know, with all due respect, say I'm 6'6", well, I'm 6'7", or I'm 6'10", or I have blue eyes versus green eyes. Really, it doesn't pass the so what test. What does
Yeah.
matter is I can solve that problem for you. I know you've got this from what you've told me. You're dealing with these logistics issues. You're dealing with this pricing. You got these personnel problems. We can solve that for you. We can do that. All those other cards, they got pretty little cards. They look nice. Yes, pretty pictures on there. Nice typeset. Yeah, that's good. What matters is what we can do to help you solve your problems. That's the key.
Yes.
I have a question. Nerf, are you really 6'6"? Like, that's freaking big. I gotta put that in because every video and I guess video is
video. You have no idea though. If it's
No.
6'6", we have no clue. But I think to the point of just listening to the client, and really, I think the most common question that's missed because we just overthink and we want to go into this pitch and this, well, this is I can do is we just forget to ask. I mean, they took the appointment. If it's actually an appointment and it's not just us cold calling and asking these questions, but they actually took the appointment, first question to ask is, well, why did you take the appointment with me? What are you looking to, and just setting the attention and finding out why they even took the appointment with you will give you a really good like stepping point to now start asking the questions of what is driving their pain. That's the only reason they took the appointment with you to begin with.
DJ, you hit the nail on the head.
As you
That's
say
the real
why,
key.
Jeff's comment comes in. If you ask why 5 times, you'll get to the root of the problem or the issue at hand. That
Jeff,
was
I love that.
so symmetrical, the two of you. It was awesome.
Toyota's known for their Toyota 4, where they talk about asking 4 whys. So why do you do that? Then why for this? Almost like the little kid that's annoying their parents. But you're doing it in a purposeful way and being able to do it. And I like your idea of 5. Sometimes 5's even better. And I think we've got to say, all right, what can we do? Why is that? And then why are you saying that? Check your premises. Ayn Rand would tell us long ago, when people make a statement, check your premises. What is it that you're thinking that leads you to believe that is true? And we need to go to that root core principle of why you believe that. And we got to ask more questions. That's the key. More questions than statements, I think, is generally a good way to do it.
100%. So Nerf answered the question. Yes, sir. I'm 294 and 6'6". LOL. He says, wow. He says, I'd be perfect for the next Subway sandwich commercial. Now, here's the thing. Richard got it down. I bet you don't like to travel and coach, Nerf.
Yes, exactly.
So, Nerf, you shouldn't be in logistics. You should be in the WWE, bro.
Yeah.
You should be taking on the Undertaker and stuff, man. He says, yeah, it sucks, but sometimes I like the aisle seats. At least one of my legs isn't paralyzed. Yeah, you just off all traffic going down the aisle.
Yeah, he's the big leg hanging out in the aisle.
Yeah. The one where you got your luggage on the ground and you see him and his knees are up to his chin when he pulls it in when everybody's coming into the thing. Yeah. LMFAO. Beautiful. So, Terry, how would one, because I think, part of this question hopefully will help a lot of people kind of make that move. I do believe a lot of us say I a lot. I know I'm guilty of it. More to frame it in a question per se or whatever, but it's I consistently try, even in that statement. How many times did I just say it, right? How can one really start paying attention to that? And what are some steps they can do to switch the I to
Mm,
we, or different words they can use instead of I?
I think there's a lot. That's a very good question. I think there's a lot that we can do. Start by questioning. Start by looking at what don't I know, rather than going in there with the agenda that's already prepared and
Mm,
dictating that to them. Instead, be aware that we want to curtail that word. Also, here's the painful thing we got to do. Most of us are doing some type of recording today. We do Zoom, we do Restream, we're doing all kinds of different videos. That's good. You need to go back and do that very painful thing that's going to help you enormously. And that's called watch yourself on
mhm.
video and be careful. Now,
it's
that is
so
so
hard.
bad. The Geneva War Convention has actually banned that. It's that dangerous. It is that bad. They banned that in the Geneva. I think they did. But you want to make sure that you go back and see what you did. How many
Yeah.
times did you say, well, I did this and I did that and I'm doing this and we're doing this and our company is this and we're great and we really don't care? Versus how many times did you step back and say, well, what are you doing there? What are the biggest challenges you're going through? How did you handle that when that happened last week? What did you do? What's worked best for you? Look at that. I think if we have that mentality of trying to
Mm,
constantly focus on getting away from saying, I, me, my, let me tell you about me, we really don't care. We only care when it relates to how it's going to help us. And
yes.
then we succeed doing that.
Mm.
Yes. I
I
love
think
that you said
that's
that.
you see, I just did it there as well.
I
I
see
think
Jeff
that's
said he
awesome. That is awesome, Terry.
I see
That is
Jeff said he
awesome.
did the 5 rule when he worked at Ford Motor Company. I can relate to that. I'm from
Yeah,
originally from
Jeff.
Michigan, and I worked my way through undergrad school, working in the auto industry there. I worked at Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company and
Okay.
working the union jobs and all that. And so, yeah, a lot of good principles came from Ford, from GM, from those companies there, and Toyota pioneering that. I think we need to learn and glean from the very best. Look at those
Yes.
who are doing well, read and study, learn from those who are doing well, and then we'll be able to do a lot better identifying the needs and solving problems of others.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's a great segue into the DAT
Yes.
lane of the day. So this one's big, okay? The lane
Okay.
of the day today is LAX to Las Vegas on a reefer. It's up 30 cents a mile this week for line haul spot to 535 a mile after being flat for the last 5 months. So when everything was
Wow.
climbing over the last 5 months and then dropped, this has stayed flat. The high was $6.35 a mile last November. So $1 a mile difference, and it's up 33 cents. That's your DAT lane of the day today. Thank you to
Wow.
Dean Crook and the team at DAT for
Guys, if
supplying
you're
that.
moving
Is that
stuff
crazy
reefer
or
from
what?
there,
Oh,
talk to your
like November last year, 635 a mile, and then it's been flat at 5 and then went up 35
and now
cents.
it's jumping.
Like
Yeah. So it could
crazy.
be stuff coming from the port. It could be a lot of things, but
It could be,
wow.
well, I mean, it's reefer, right? So it could be a
Yeah.
lot of produce coming from the port,
Yeah.
maybe some stuff coming from overseas, maybe different, whatever,
Yeah.
climatized stuff. I
Wow.
mean, it's it's one. And then so tomorrow, what we're gonna actually do on Wins and Lessons Friday, our good friend, the mad scientist data Dean Crook, is actually going to give us a summary of every lane of the day and what's changed in the week. So it's going to be super cool for the DAT lane of the day. Thank you so
Look at
much to DAT for
that.
that. Yes,
Oh,
that's
love
awesome.
it. Thank you, Dean.
Yeah, Big D, he's awesome. So, Terry, here's the big thing. So we identify, we talk, we ask questions. How does that make you feel? What did you learn? Kind of what was the status? What happened? What was good? What was bad? Um, what are some of the things that you use as triggers when you go into a conversation to stay away from the I and start focusing on them? You use triggers until it becomes a habit. How did you actually get to
Mm.
that point in the like in your mentality and in your perspective?
It helps to look at some of the principles that journalists use. Some of the training that I had, I was undergrad for me, and I find we can look at what is it that they're going through, study what's going on in their life and their issue. And fortunately, today it's easier than ever. Obviously, we
Mhm.
can Google that, but you can go and look at what's going on, do the in depth, go to LinkedIn. Study where they went to school, who they are, what issues they've dealt with, and see if you have any commonalities, what you can do to help them out. Go in with the idea of being able to solve a problem. Think of yourself like a doctor. If a patient comes in and says, "Doctor, I'm hurting," the doctor wouldn't immediately say, "Oh, I think you need this medication." That would be malpractice. They've got to make sure they do the diagnosis first. Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So think of yourself as a doctor, asking questions. Really, where does it hurt? Where does it hurt? Does it hurt here? What kind of issues have worked for you? Where doesn't it hurt? What is working right? What have you done that worked exceptionally well in the past when you had issues like this? What has continually plagued you over and over? Could it be anything else? Start asking those kind of questions. Keep asking many, many questions. And as you get them moving, then you're going to be able to find out where they are, what issues they're really going through. Because often there's the issue they tell you they're going through, but then there's the real issue or the real issues that are underneath that. You find that out not by being an interrogator and trying to put the light on them and, "Oh, you must tell me this." No, no, no. It's helping them. And I think that's the key. My buddy Jay Baer talks about this a lot. He says we've got to look at helping is the new selling. And as we help others, as we reach out and help them, we can then find out ways that we're going to be able to serve them. And that's really what capitalism, what the free market, what entrepreneurialism is all about. It always has been. If you're a farmer back in the Middle Ages, you've got to figure out what crops do people want? What kind of products should you grow? What should you do with your horses, with your cows, your chickens, whatever it is that you have in your environment that can help others in some way? And if you always think in terms of helping the others, I think that's the mindset. So, Dan, I would say as you're going into a meeting, think in terms of what you can do to help them. What issues are they going through? And then try to help them with it, asking lots of questions. Ask many, many more questions than make statements. By asking the questions like, really, and why do you think that? And what would happen if you did this? Who's doing it right? In your industry, in your company, who's doing it right? Who have you seen of your competitors that's doing some things right? Yeah, they're your competitors, but what are they doing right? What are they doing wrong? What can you change? I think as we have those kind of questions, we'll do a whole lot better all the way around.
There's some awesome. So Jeff says focus on them, not you, 1000%. Jeff says, "Hey Terry, good to see you live."
Jeff, good to see you, my man.
Yeah, Joshua says great points. Service first. Comes back and says, "I usually bring a pair of scissors when I go to shippers, and I say it would be a shame if something happened to those fingers you use to send your load offers. That usually gets me in the door." Because
It'd be real bad. It'd be a shame if something bad were to happen here on that.
It'd be a real shame if this cigar cutter builder transparent relationship, achieve trust 100%. So here's the thing, DJ, thinking an audible needs to be called here for the end of the show, because not sure how many of you caught something very interesting and profound that Terry just said. Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So that, I think, is better than any quote we can ever come up with for today. Because as a salesperson, if your prescription, what you can sell them, is coming without a diagnosis, it's malpractice in sales.
Yeah, think of that physician who's asking, does it hurt here? Do we do that? If I tap here, does it, oh, that hurt? Oh, it did. Oh, we didn't know about that. Oh, it hit here, didn't do anything. Okay, that says something as well. And the physician who's been trained properly will understand what these mean, put it together, and she comes up with an idea of, I now believe you've got this, therefore we can prescribe this. And she's got sound medical reasons to do it.
And I think to finish that, guys, when you're starting to ask those questions and build that story with your client, exactly how he did, and you're diagnosing it like that, you're on the right track. You're actually listening to them, and you're following the steps to get to where their pain actually is. And you're not selling well, try this drug because it's going to work. Well, I have this with my foot. What are you talking about?
This one works for everyone.
Yeah,
No,
this is just the magic bullet. It works for everybody.
Wrong answer, Sparky.
Yeah, exactly. Maggie says, Dan literally thought the same thing. Never seen it that way. Best analogy. It really, I mean, Terry, it really is.
It really
it's
is.
Probably the best analogy I've ever heard, because we all know malpractice hurts doctors, huge, massive lawsuits, all of this stuff. We've all probably had friends or colleagues that have had some kind of issue with malpractice or something going wrong with the surgery or something. That kind of hits home more than anything else. And in sales, 29 years almost, never once thought of it like that.
Yeah. Dan, DJ, may I say something here?
Yeah.
I want to mention this to those of you that are watching this. You're watching this right now, whether you're watching us live right now or you're going to be watching this recording, seeing it later. I want you to think about how you can ask more questions, how you can come up with more questions that are pertinent to the person you're talking to that customer, the potential customer. What can you do to help them? Think about that today. Take some time to do it. Take a pause. I know you're busy, got a lot there, but pause and think, what questions can I ask? They're going to help them even more. What can I do? What are my premises going into it? I think if you do that, you're going to find you'll enjoy a lot more success today and going forward. Think about that as we move forward on this.
Yes.
You know, Terry, it's awesome that you said that, and it's awesome that we're going to end with that. We've had a couple of customers on over the last few weeks, and their number one thing is ask me a question. Ask me something that's going to get me thinking and deliver an answer. You want to connect with me in today's, even faster paced environment. We like most of the customers we've had on Tuesdays have come straight out and said, like, I spend 60% of my time doing things I've never done before. Meaning they've added 60% time to their thing. One customer last week was saying pretty much he spends, 20 hours a week, I think, DJ, 20 hours a week creating stuff to
20
keep
hours
him and his
extra
team in line. Like,
yep.
That's
we're going through a lot.
Crazy.
That's a pain point. But yeah, that analogy, man, yeah, that's wow.
Yeah, think about it.
Peter says this convo is literally gold.
In our world today, we're going through stuff that we have never happened before. I love studying history. I can't think of a time in history that's had the confluence of so many things coming together. We're aware of this. We're not Pollyannas. We understand about inflation. We see the price of gas. We see what's happening with the supply chain. Got it. We see Russia, Ukraine. We understand all that. And in the midst of that, there's enormous opportunities, because we're going to see opportunities opening up. You've got to start asking more questions. Don't go in there thinking, oh, gee, this is how we did it before, therefore what worked before will work now. Borrow from the principles of what we learned before, the wisdom that we get, but bring that into a new situation, because there's going to be enormous opportunities in the midst of all the yuck that's going on. I'll use that word here. All the yuck that's going on. And I'm thinking of a few more colorful military terms too. But we'll use the yuck that's going on. And we can find out opportunities with that. But you got to ask the right questions, be around the right people, and question your responses and your first principles that you're coming from.
Well, and I think to that point, Terry, you're so right on. But even remember what Terry was explaining about as the doctor, and visualize that with your clients, asking for their pain points, and wait to see that. If you're doing a video, wait to see that, almost that ooh, and really look for that ooh that hurts there. Then you're like, oh shit, that's the problem. That's what I need to fix. But you have to find that ooh like you would a doctor touching that sore spot.
Okay, here's our hashtag. Watch for the ooh. Watch for the ooh.
Watch for the
Watch
ooh.
for the ooh.
Yes. Well, here's like when you think of that statement, right? Again, prescription without diagnosis is malpractice.
Yes.
How many questions does a doctor ask and then clarify? Because there's a clarifying piece that we never really dove into, and that's a very big piece.
Good
point.
The
doctor says, where does it hurt? It hurts here. Does it hurt when I do this? One clarification. What about this? Two. What about this? Okay. What is the pain like? How does it respond? What does it do to you? Is it like there's all these clarifying questions built into that diagnosis question, the original question. So if you are unclear in any which way. Like we're talking so clear that you could be standing 10,000 feet above on a piece of glass, that clear, bright blue sky. If it's not that clear,
Keep
ask
asking.
more questions.
Yeah.
And make sure when you diagnose what is needed, it's the exact diagnosis. Right? You go into a doctor and you say, my knee really hurts. And I'm like, okay, well then, does it hurt here? Does it hurt here? Does it hurt here? Okay, let's go get an MRI done so we can see more. Are you okay with that? Yes. What does the MRI say? Why does it say it? And you start going through all of that. That's full clarification on the need to know what needs to happen. Or, if your doctor, if you go in and say, my knee hurts, the doctor says, well, let's just give you a cortisone shot, run. Because there's no clarification. Just run. Maggie, yes, exactly. Maggie says, I'm a registered nurse. That's what I do all day. I've never seen sales this way in my life. No wonder why I love what you guys do. Oh, thanks, Maggie. And Nerf says, thanks, Maggie Flores, for your service to mankind as a registered nurse. And Maggie comes back and says, thanks, Nerf. Similar to logistics, only the strong survive through these times.
Yes.
100%. Jeff says, have a great day. Go after it, whatever it may be. Awesome.
I love what Maggie said there.
Terry,
strong survive.
Have you back, brother, because that conversation.
Yes. Yeah, we still have to talk about Bitcoin and crypto. You mentioned that in the post, but we didn't get to talk about it. Oh, we got to have you back on to talk about that.
Maybe we'll do like a sales Bitcoin crypto. I'd love to hear more about it because I'm interested in it, but I've stayed away from it like the Black Plague. Yeah, call me an idiot. It's okay. I take it.
If I can mention something real quick here, then I don't make financial advice. I'm not saying you got to go this or that. One thing I'll make as a prediction, it's changing and it's going to keep changing. But I do make this very strong recommendation for those of you that listening. You're listening to this right now. Study Bitcoin. Study what's going on. Go out and do your homework. Do your own damn research. Go out there and find out what's going on because it is profoundly affecting our world. We can talk about it's a whole nother discussion. I just finished a keynote program, opening keynote for a Bitcoin blockchain summit, and talk about that. What's going on? What is happening with it? And I would say start studying this. Understand what it is, and realize it's got some enormous opportunities for entrepreneurs who ask the right questions.
I think blockchain is going to be big in logistics. I really do.
Huge.
I think it's going to be the next level. You know what, Terry? Why don't we off air come up with another date? We'll get you on to specifically talk about those strategies.
Sounds good. Love it.
So we've got Joey says, hey, what's up, boys? Have a great day. Keep up the nice work. Thanks, Joey. So here we go. DJ, do you not agree? Prescription without diagnosis is malpractice.
Listen, that's money. Yeah, I had a quote, but that I wouldn't change it.
Was that trumpet or what?
That sums it up. That sums it up completely. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Have a fantastic day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Centurion Trucking. Our motto is people before profit. Today's market requires more transparency, consistency, and focus on what our clients need to win. Centurion Trucking and American Logistics are poised to help their clients achieve and surpass their targets. If you're looking for a team that honors your needs,